A person who has been punished is not thereby simply less inclined to behave in a given way. At best, he learns how to avoid punishment. Those words were written decades ago by Dr. B.F. Skinner, long before social media, before algorithms, before artificial intelligence. Yet today, millions of people are constantly changing their behavior to survive in digital environments designed to control attention, emotion, and reaction. Perhaps Skinner understood human behavior long before the modern algorithmic world existed. And now, we begin. Have you ever experienced that terrifying moment of waking up from a digital trance? You sit down on your couch after a long, exhausting day, intending to check just one message. You blink, and suddenly, the room is dark. 2 hours have vanished from your life, completely unaccounted for. You cannot remember a single meaningful thing you looked at. You just feel a lingering sense of emptiness, a subtle tension behind your eyes, and a quiet anxiety whispering in the back of your mind. You are not alone in this experience. Almost everyone around you is quietly suffering from the exact same phenomenon. Society tends to brush this off as a modern bad habit. We call it procrastination. We call ourselves lazy or undisciplined. But what you are experiencing is far more profound and far more systemic than a simple lack of willpower. Your attention, the most intimate and valuable resource you possess, is being actively and methodically hijacked. Think about a traditional tool, like a hammer or a bicycle. A tool sits quietly in the corner until you decide you need to use it. It does not manipulate you into picking it up. It does not vibrate to demand your focus. The device in your hand, however, is no longer a simple tool. It is an incredibly sophisticated psychological environment, designed by thousands of brilliant engineers and powered by artificial intelligence, with one singular goal: to keep your eyes locked on the screen for as long as humanly possible. To understand how you became so easily controlled by a piece of glass, we have to look back to a time long before the smartphone ever existed. In the mid-20th century, the pioneering behavioral psychologist Dr. B.F. Skinner dedicated his life to understanding how habits are formed. Dr. B.F. Skinner made a discovery about human and animal behavior that was both brilliant and deeply unsettling. He found that you do not need physical force to control a living creature. You only need to control the exact timing of its rewards. He placed subjects in a controlled environment with a mechanical lever. If pulling the lever gave the subject a reward every single time, the creature quickly became bored and stopped. The brain figured out the pattern and lost interest. But Dr. B.F. Skinner realized that if he made the reward unpredictable, if the subject never knew exactly when they would win, everything changed completely. They would pull the lever compulsively, obsessively, to the point of total physical exhaustion. He proved that variable, unpredictable rewards are the absolute most effective way to manipulate and condition behavior. Today, the brightest minds in technology have taken the discoveries of Dr. B.F. Skinner and placed them directly into your pocket. When you open a social media app and pull down with your thumb to refresh your feed, you are pulling the lever. You do not know what you will see next. It might be a highly entertaining video. It might be a frustrating news headline. Or it might be a notification that someone liked your photo. That unpredictability, that endless scrolling, is exactly what hijacks your nervous system. You are caught in a perfectly engineered loop of behavioral conditioning. But what is actually happening inside your brain when you pull that lever? To understand the depth of this manipulation, we must look at a very specific, ancient chemical system. We have to talk about dopamine. Popular culture often mislabels dopamine as simply the chemical of pleasure or joy. But scientifically, dopamine governs something much more powerful. It is the molecule of incentive salience. It is the biological feeling of wanting. It is your brain's core motivation system, designed evolutionarily to compel you to seek out food, explore new territories, and connect with your tribe to ensure your survival. When your ancient ancestors found a source of fresh water or sweet fruit, their brains released a measured amount of dopamine. It was a natural, hard-earned reward. But today, highly stimulating digital products artificially spike your dopamine levels far beyond anything human beings ever evolved to handle. Every notification, every endless scroll, and every piece of artificial social validation triggers a massive, unnatural chemical dump in your brain's reward center. Your ancient survival mechanism is being mercilessly exploited by modern convenience. And this is where your true psychological suffering begins. Because you are constantly flooding your mind with these intense, unnatural spikes of dopamine, your brain goes into a state of biological shock. To protect your fragile nervous system from being completely overwhelmed by the constant digital noise, your brain actively builds a defense mechanism. It reduces its own sensitivity. In neuroscience, this is known as receptor downregulation. Your brain literally turns down the volume on its own dopamine receptors just to survive the sheer intensity of your screen time. This biological defense mechanism leads to a terrifying reality known as the dopamine trap. And this trap is the exact reason why normal, beautiful, everyday life suddenly feels unbearably boring to you. When your baseline for what feels stimulating has been artificially pushed so high by algorithms, a quiet evening at home feels painfully slow. It explains why silence makes you anxious. It is why you can no longer sit through a movie without checking your phone, and why reading a physical book feels like an impossible, monumental task. Your attention is completely fragmented. You require increasingly larger, faster, and louder doses of extreme stimulation just to feel normal. You are experiencing emotional numbness and mental fatigue, not because you are physically tired, but because your neurochemistry is entirely exhausted. And the system is only getting smarter. In the past, television and traditional advertising cast a wide net, hoping to catch your attention. But today, the algorithms running your social media feeds are powered by artificial intelligence that learns from your every microscopic movement. The AI tracks how long you hover over a specific image. It analyzes the exact type of content that makes you angry, because anger keeps you highly engaged. It learns your insecurities, your social preferences, and your deepest fears. The AI is constantly running millions of calculations per second to deliver the precise piece of content that will trigger your specific dopamine system. Just as Dr. B.F. Skinner proved that environments shape behavior in a laboratory, we are now living in a global digital environment that is actively shaping our minds to be anxious, isolated, and endlessly distracted. What is the ultimate cost of this constant overstimulation? It is not just a loss of productivity at work or school. It is a loss of your own humanity. When your attention is fractured into 1,000 tiny pieces every single day, you lose the ability to think deeply. And deep thought is exactly where your true identity lives. Your sense of self, your creativity, and your emotional intelligence are not formed in the frantic, loud moments of life. They are formed in the quiet spaces. They are formed when you are alone with your thoughts, reflecting on who you are, what you care about, and who you want to become. By constantly surrendering our attention to the algorithms, we are slowly eroding our ability to know ourselves. We are wandering through the physical world as emotional ghosts, while our minds are trapped in a digital labyrinth. But you must remember one incredibly important truth today. You are not a machine, and your destiny is not written in algorithmic code. Your brain is a living, breathing, beautifully resilient organ. It successfully adapted to the chaotic, overstimulated digital world, which means it possesses the miraculous ability to adapt again. It can heal. You do not need to run away from society, and you do not need to attempt a punishing, complete dopamine detox. The internet trend of completely detoxing from dopamine is actually a scientific myth because your body requires it for everyday, essential physiological functions. True recovery is not about total deprivation. It is about nervous system regulation and intentional, conscious living. To heal from this modern overstimulation, you must consciously begin to eliminate the sources of cheap, algorithmic dopamine. You must set firm boundaries around your attention. It starts by protecting the edges of your day. You refuse to look at a glowing screen the moment you open your eyes in the morning. You allow the natural sunlight to wake your nervous system. You leave your phone in another room when you sleep, breaking the compulsive cycle of midnight scrolling. You can naturally optimize and heal your neurochemistry by returning to the rhythms of the physical world. You prioritize high-quality sleep, giving your brain the time it needs to repair its receptors. You engage in cardiovascular exercise, which naturally regulates your mood and clears the heavy mental fatigue. But most importantly, you must retrain your mind to derive its sense of reward from the analog world. You must learn to find dopamine in difficult, meaningful, goal-oriented tasks rather than in instant, empty digital gratification. When you first step away from the noise, it will not be easy. The silence will feel incredibly loud. Your conditioned mind will scream for the familiar comfort of the algorithm. You will feel the phantom itch in your hand, begging you to reach into your pocket and pull the lever just one more time. But if you can sit with that discomfort, if you can simply breathe through the quiet emptiness, the fog will slowly begin to lift. The emotional numbness will fade. Your ability to focus, to read, and to listen deeply will naturally return. You will sit across from someone you love and you will actually hear the subtle tones in their voice. You will look at the world around you and you will finally, truly be present. Your attention is the only lens through which you experience your one and only life. When you give it away to a machine, you are giving away fragments of your limited time on this earth. We have built systems that are incredibly efficient at capturing our focus, but they can never replicate the depth, the warmth, and the beauty of the human soul. The choice of where to direct your consciousness still belongs to you. Perhaps the ultimate test of our era is not whether we can build smarter artificial intelligence, but whether we can remember how to be human in the shadow of it. What do you think?